Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to get a little weird. We're going to ask a simple question with a not-so-simple answer. What is reality? I mean, really. The stuff around you feels solid, it feels real. But what if I told you the truth is far stranger and way more exciting than you could possibly imagine?
Okay, so just look around you for a second. The chair you're sitting on, the phone or computer in your hands, it all feels solid, right? You can touch it, it's dependable. This is the world we all live in, the world described by classic, old-school physics, a world of predictable, tangible things.
But here's where we take our first step down the rabbit hole. What if I told you that all that solid stuff isn't solid at all? Modern physics tells us that the atoms making up everything you see are actually 99.9% pure empty space. Yeah, the feeling of solid is just an illusion, a trick played by invisible forces. And that brings up an even bigger, more mind-bending question. What if the fundamental stuff of the universe isn't stuff at all? What if everything we call matter is really just energy, a super concentrated vibrating form of pure energy?
So, to really appreciate how weird our reality is, we first have to take a quick look back at how we used to think about it. For hundreds of years, we had a really neat, orderly picture of the universe. This was our classical worldview.
Back then, matter was super simple. You probably remember this from science class, right? Matter is anything that has mass and takes up space. A rock, a glass of water, you. It was all just stuff. Tangible, predictable stuff.
And this picture was honestly really elegant. The whole world was made of these tiny little Lego bricks called atoms. And those atoms were made of even smaller bits, protons, neutrons, and electrons. The only difference between the air you're breathing and a chunk of iron was just how many protons were in the mix. Everything was tidy. It all made sense. But then, right at the start of the 20th century, this whole perfect picture just got completely blown up. And it was all thanks to a young patent clerk who had a bit of a wild imagination. You see, for centuries, the rule was simple. You had matter, which was the physical stuff, and you had energy, which was the invisible force that made the stuff do things. They were two totally separate categories. End of story.
And then this happened. Probably the most famous equation in history, E equals mc squared. But it's so much more than just an equation. It's like a secret code for the universe, and Einstein cracked it.
Because what this beautiful little equation tells us is that matter and energy are not separate things at all. They're two sides of the same cosmic coin. They're interchangeable. Matter isn't just something that has energy. Matter is a colossal amount of energy, all bundled up.
Okay, so if Einstein kind of blurred the lines, what came next, the quantum revolution, didn't just blur them. It took a giant eraser to them. This is where reality stops making any kind of common sense. To get this, we gotta talk about a super famous experiment. Imagine you're firing marbles at a wall with two little slits in it. What do you get on the screen behind? Two lines of marble hits. Makes sense. Now, do the same thing with waves in water. The waves pass through both slits and interfere with each other, creating a complex pattern of many bands. Also makes sense.
All right, so here's the million-dollar question. An electron is a particle, right? It's a tiny little piece of matter. So if we fire electrons one by one at those two slits, we should get two lines on the screen, just like the marbles, obviously.
Yeah, wrong. We get the interference pattern, the pattern of a wave. This means that a single electron, a tiny particle, leaves the gun, somehow behaves like a wave, passes through both slits at the same time, and then interferes with itself before hitting the screen as a single dot. How is that even possible?
But hold on, because this is where it goes from just being strange to being completely out there. The scientists, totally baffled, decided, okay, we have to see what's going on. They put a tiny little detector by the slits to watch and see which one the electron actually went through.
The moment they did that, poof, the interference pattern vanished, and two distinct bands appeared, just like the marbles. It's as if the electrons knew they were being watched and suddenly decided to act like proper particles. The simple act of observation forced reality to change. Let that sink in. The universe behaves differently when we're looking at it.
So this all brings us back to that illusion of solid matter. To really put that emptiness into perspective, if the nucleus of an atom were a marble sitting in the middle of a giant stadium, its electrons would be like tiny grains of sand orbiting way up in the nosebleed seats. Everything in between is just nothing.
And get this, even the tiny bits in the nucleus aren't what they seem. Most of the mass we feel, the very quality that gives things weight, doesn't come from the particles themselves. It comes from the raw, powerful energy that's binding them all together. You are not a collection of little solid bits. You are a vibrant, dynamic field of pure energy.
All right, so if you thought the world of the super tiny was weird, I want you to zoom out with me now, all the way out to the cosmic scale, because the mystery is about to get a whole lot bigger.
This, right here, is probably the most humbling discovery in all of modern science. Everything we've been talking about, every atom, all the matter and energy that makes up you, me, the Earth, the stars, every single galaxy we can see in the sky, all of it adds up to less than 5% of the universe.
95%. Just think about that number for a second. 95% of reality is a complete and total mystery to us. We've given it these cool, mysterious names, right? Dark matter and dark energy. But honestly, dark is just a fancy word for we have absolutely no clue. We know it's there because we can see its gravity pulling and pushing on the 5% of stuff we can see. But what is it? We have no idea. Our entire understanding of reality is based on just a tiny sliver of the whole picture.
So, after all of this, from quantum particles that are also waves to a universe that's mostly invisible and unknown, what does any of this mean for us, right here, right now? There's this beautiful Italian phrase, noi siamo universo. It means, simply, we are universe. And it's not just poetry, it is literally true. The atoms that make up your body were forged in the fiery heart of a star that died billions of years ago. The energy vibrating inside you has existed since the very beginning of time. You are not just in the universe, you are the universe.
And so I want to leave you with this final thought. If you are made of stardust, and you're governed by these same bizarre quantum rules and cosmic forces, when you look up at the night sky and you wonder about it all, is that just a person looking out at the cosmos? Or is it the cosmos itself, through you, becoming aware of its own magnificent, mysterious existence? Think about that.
If you found this video helpful, give it a like, leave a comment, and share your thoughts or questions. And subscribe to Science LM for more clear and well-explained science. See you in the next video.